The first mortgage bill with my name on it arrived at a house I'd never seen. My mother wore pearls when she told me it was just paperwork. They'd stolen my VA loan entitlement while I was flying medevac missions, forging my signature on a mansion in Silver Elk Reserve. The notary who verified me was at their housewarming party while I was 3,000 feet up, evacuating a trauma patient. By the time the HOA gala began, the lender, the notary, and the sheriff were all on my guest list. My name is Avery Dalton, and I was eating leftover pad thai in my studio apartment when the envelope arrived that would unravel my parents' perfect crime. The return address read Harborstone Federal, which meant nothing to me. I'd never banked with them. Inside was an annual escrow disclosure for a property at 4827 Silver Elk Drive, addressed to Avery L. Dalton, my middle initial, my name, but not my home. My apartment was a converted garage in the industrial district, 20 miles from wherever Silver Elk Drive was. I almost tossed it as junk mail. Then I saw the loan number and the amount $847,000. My chopsticks clattered onto the counter. "Mom," I said when she picked up on the third ring. Background noise suggested a party clinking glasses, that fake laugh she used with people she wanted to impress. "Avery, sweetheart, perfect timing. We're having drinks by the pool. You should see this sunset." I got some mail from Harborstone Federal about a house on Silver Elk Drive. A pause, ice rattling in a glass. "Oh, that. Just a postal mix-up. Honey, you know how these systems get confused. It has my VA loan number on it." "Does it?" Her voice pitched higher, the way it did when she lied about forgetting my high school graduation. "Graham, darling, Avery's on the phone." My father's voice boomed in the background before he took the phone. "Princess, your mother says you're worried about some paperwork." "It's not paperwork, Dad. It's an escrow statement for a house I don't own, with a loan I didn't take." He chuckled, that dismissive sound I'd heard my whole life. "You're overthinking things, as usual. Probably some clerical error. Banks make mistakes all the time." With my exact VA entitlement code, "You're what now?" I stared at the document. After 3 tours flying medevac with the Army Reserve, after pulling soldiers out of places that still visited my dreams, I'd earned that VA loan benefit. I'd been saving it, planning to use it when I found the right place, when Northline AeroCare promoted me to senior pilot and I could afford the maintenance and taxes on a real home. "Never mind," I said. "Hey, where exactly is this pool you're sitting by? Our new place. Didn't we mention we finally found our dream home? 4 bedrooms, that infinity pool I always wanted, and the most gorgeous mountain views. The HOA here is very exclusive Silver Elk Reserve. You'd love it. Silver Elk Reserve. The same development on the escrow statement." My mother grabbed the phone back. "You simply must visit Darling. We'll have a guest room set up soon. Though you know how the HOA is about overnight visitors, very strict rules. But family is family." She texted me a photo 5 minutes after we hung up, her and my father, champagne flutes raised, that massive house glowing behind them in the twilight. She wore the pearl necklace she'd inherited from my grandmother, the one she only brought out for special occasions. My father had on his Princeton reunion blazer, the one he wore when he wanted people to know he'd gone to Princeton 30 years ago, before flunking out junior year, a detail he conveniently omitted from his stories. I pulled up my VA portal on my laptop. Status certificate of eligibility used. Date 3 months ago. While I'd been working 18-hour shifts, flying critical patients through wildfire smoke, someone had used my benefit to secure a jumbo VA loan. The laptop screen blurred. I blinked hard, forcing myself to focus. This wasn't the first time they'd helped themselves to my identity. During my deployment to Kandahar, mysterious credit cards had appeared in my name. Store cards, mostly. Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks, all conveniently maxed out. I'd paid them off to protect my security clearance, told myself it was the last time, that maintaining family peace was worth the $10,000. But this was different. This was my future they'd stolen. I called Maya Rios, My only friend from high school who'd stayed local. She worked compliance at Harborstone Federal, now a detail my parents didn't know. Can you look something up for me? I asked. Unofficially. Girl, you sound like someone died. Can you... 20 minutes later, she called back. Avery, what the hell? This loan shows you as the primary borrower and occupant. Says here you signed everything digitally 3 months ago. There's even a power of attorney on file. I was flying a burn victim to Seattle 3 months ago. I have the flight logs. The IP address for the e-signatures traces to a residential address in... She paused. Oh shit. Silver Elk Reserve. My parents had stolen more than money this time. They'd stolen my one chance at home ownership, the benefit I'd bled for, quite literally, when shrapnel from an RPG had carved a scar across my shoulder blade, and they'd done it while sipping champagne in their infinity pool, wearing pearls and Princeton blazers, playing at being people they'd never been and never would be. I opened a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Evidence. It was time to stop paying for their dreams with my future. Maya's second call came at 11:45 p.m. that same night. I was still awake, staring at the escrow statement like it might confess if I applied enough pressure. I shouldn't be doing this, she whispered, but you need to see what I found. Check your email. The attachments loaded slowly. First, the power of attorney. My name typed in Arial font, but the signature was wrong. Too flowery, too careful. I'd signed thousands of medical forms under pressure. My signature was a slash of impatience. This looked like someone trying to forge cursive from a YouTube tutorial. Keep scrolling, Maya said. The occupancy affidavit made my stomach turn. It swore, under penalty of perjury, that I, Avery L. Dalton, would move into 4827 Silver Elk Drive within 60 days and make it my primary residence. Dated 3 months ago. Digitally signed at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. I pulled up my Northline AeroCare schedule. That Tuesday, 2:17 p.m. I was somewhere over Mount Rainier, fighting crosswinds with a pediatric cardiac patient who needed immediate surgery in Seattle. The flight logs would confirm it. There's more, Maya said. The notary who verified the POA, Rebecca Morse. Mobile notary service. She logged the verification as happening at, get this, a client appreciation event at Silver Elk Reserve. When, March 15th, 6:30 p.m., I searched my mother's Facebook. There it was, dozens of photos from their housewarming soiree on March 15th. Champagne towers, catered sushi, a chocolate fountain, my mother posing with various overdressed strangers, my father showing off his Princeton blazer to anyone who'd listen. In the background of one photo, a woman with a notary bag stood by the kitchen island, stamping documents while party guests mingled around her. Timestamp 6:28 p.m. My phone buzzed. Mother. Sweetheart, I've been thinking about your call earlier. You sounded stressed. You know, it's perfectly normal for family to help each other with financial matters. Is it normal to forge my signature? Silence. Then, with practiced calm. I don't know what you think you know. I know about the POA, the occupancy affidavit, the notary at your party. She sighed like I was a child having a tantrum. Avery, you're going to live there eventually. On paper, just until we establish residency properly. It's a formality. A formality. You stole my VA entitlement. Stole my father's voice he'd been listening on speaker. We're your parents. We gave you life, put you through school. I paid for college with ROTC, and this is how family works. We're using the benefit temporarily. You can have it back when we refinance. That's not how VA loans work. Dad. Details, he said dismissively. The point is, we're all family. The house is gorgeous. By the way, you should visit, though not officially. Of course. Can't have the neighbors thinking you actually live here. He laughed at his own cleverness. I hung up and called Maya back. I need everything. Every document, every signature, every timestamp. Avery, this is serious fraud. Like, Federal crime. Serious. I know. She was quiet for a moment. There's something else. I pulled the original loan application. Your reported income. It shows you making $240,000 a year. I made $93,000 at Northline. Good money, but not mansion money. They submitted fake pay stubs, Maya continued. Created an entire employment history with some medical consulting firm that doesn't exist beyond a website registered 2 days before the loan application. My laptop dinged. More Facebook notifications. My mother had tagged me in photos of our beautiful new family home. Comments poured in from her book club friends, congratulating us on our success. Someone asked if I was planning to move in soon. My mother had replied, Avery's so dedicated to her work, flying those medical helicopters, but this will always be her home base. Home base. Like I was a soldier they could deploy to maintain their fiction. Maya sent another document, the deed transfer. There was my name, clear as day, as the sole owner of 4827 Silver Elk Drive, a property I'd never seen, bought with a loan I'd never signed for, verified by a notary I'd never met, while I was 15,000 feet in the air trying to keep a child alive. One more thing, Maya said. The loan. It's already 2 payments behind. The notices have been going to the Silver Elk address. Your parents haven't been paying. Of course they hadn't. Why pay when the bill was in someone else's name? I opened my evidence folder and began organizing everything. IP addresses, timestamps, flight logs, Facebook photos, digital signatures that looked nothing like mine. A forged power of attorney witnessed at a champagne party while I was saving lives. My phone lit up with another text from my mother, a photo of her by the infinity pool, the sunrise turning the mountains gold behind her, living our best life. You deserve this too, sweetheart. Stop being so difficult. I saved that one too. Evidence of motive, my former JAG commander would have called it. Proof that they knew exactly what they'd done and felt entitled to do it. They'd worn pearls and Princeton blazers while stealing my future. Now it was time to show them what happened when you robbed the wrong daughter. The blue folder grew thicker each day. I'd named it that after the military prosecution files I'd seen during my time in Service Blue for the cold, methodical nature of justice being served. Evan Brooks' law office occupied a corner suite downtown, all glass and minimalism. He'd been recommended by Lieutenant Colonel Tara Whitfield, my former commander, who now ran a nonprofit for veterans. When I'd called her about the situation, she'd said 5 words that changed everything. Don't save them. Save others. This is... Evan paused, reviewing the documents I'd compiled. This is remarkably thorough. You've essentially done half my job for me. I learned from the best JAG officers in Afghanistan. Document everything. Assume nothing. He pulled up the forged POA on his screen, zooming in on the signature. This isn't even a good forgery. Look, they traced your signature from your DD-214, but the pen pressure is all wrong. See these hesitation marks, classic indication of tracing. So we can prove it's fake. We can prove all of it's fake. But here's what you need to understand. Criminal prosecution could take years. Your parents might get probation, maybe house arrest. Meanwhile, your credit is destroyed, your VA benefit is locked, and you still can't buy a house. So what do you suggest? He leaned back, fingers steepled. We go after the weakest links first, the notary who verified a POA at a party she's licensed through the state. One complaint with this evidence, she loses her commission and probably flips on your parents to save herself. The title company, they have insurance for exactly this type of fraud. They'll want to settle quickly and quietly. I don't want quiet, I said. I want consequences. Tara, who'd been silent in the corner, finally spoke. Then we make it public. Very public. In a way they can't deny or spin. She pulled out her phone and showed me a social media post. Silver Elk Reserve HOA has a gala next month. Black tie fundraiser for their community foundation. Your parents already RSVP'd. Your mother's been posting about her dress for weeks. I scrolled through my mother's feed. She'd documented everything, the dress fitting, the pearl selection, even a post about giving back to our wonderful community that has welcomed us so warmly. We turn their stage into a courtroom, Tara said. But legally, every person we invite will have a legitimate reason to be there. The plan took shape over the next 2 hours. First, file a qualified written request with Harborstone Federal. By law, they had to investigate any reported discrepancies. Maya would ensure it landed on the right desk. Second, report the occupancy fraud to Pine Ridge County Recorder's Office. False occupancy affidavits were a felony, and the county had been cracking down after a surge in rental fraud. Third, contact the VA Regional Loan Center and the Inspector General. Fraudulent use of veteran benefits had become a hot-button issue. They'd want to make an example of someone. Fourth, the masterpiece, the gala. We'd invite key players as speakers for a community safety presentation. The bank's fraud investigator discussing protecting yourself from identity theft. The county recorder on the importance of accurate property records. A VA representative on protecting veteran benefits from exploitation. And the notary? I asked. Evan smiled grimly. She'll receive a subpoena to appear for a deposition, coincidentally scheduled for the same evening, at the same location, along with a notice that her license is under review. I spent the next week gathering ammunition, flight logs from Northline proving I was airborne during every signing, GPS data from my phone, even weather reports hard to claim I was at a sunny California signing when I was flying through a Pacific Northwest thunderstorm. My parents, meanwhile, escalated their pressure. Daily calls about family loyalty and ungrateful children. They sent me an actual invoice for $53,000, claiming it was my share of pool renovations for our family investment. I recorded every call. California was a two-party consent state, but I was in Washington, and they'd called me one-party consent. Legal. You owe us this, my father said during one particularly venomous call at 2:15 a.m. We sacrificed everything for you. What did you sacrifice, exactly? Our dreams, our opportunities. Do you know what I could have been if I hadn't had a child to support? You flunked out of Princeton before I was born. Dad. The silence stretched before he hung up. I signed a lease on a small duplex the next day, using a conventional loan with a massive down payment money I'd saved for my dream home. The loan officer looked confused. You have VA eligibility. Why not use it? It's tied up, I said, photographing every document. Fraud investigation. Her expression shifted from confusion to understanding to sympathy. Oh, honey, your family. How did you know? It's always family. That paperwork went into the blue folder, too. Proof that I couldn't use my legitimate benefit because it was locked in their fraudulent loan. Proof of damages, Evan had called it. Proof that their greed had real consequences. The qualified written request went out the next morning. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. The occupancy fraud report followed an hour later. The VA complaint that afternoon. And the gala invitations. Those went out with official county letterhead, state seal embossed, looking exactly like what they were official business disguised as community service. My mother texted me a photo that evening. Another sunset, another glass of champagne, another view from the infinity pool I was supposedly paying for. Missing you, darling. When will you stop this nonsense and just accept that families share everything? I didn't respond, but I did save the photo, geo-tagged and time-stamped, showing her enjoying a property she'd sworn I occupied. 3 weeks until the gala. 3 weeks until their house of forged cards collapsed in front of everyone they'd tried to impress. The blue folder was ready. So was I. The gaslighting intensified as the gala approached. My parents had shifted from demanding to concerned, a tactical maneuver I recognized from childhood. Sweetheart, we're worried about you. My mother cooed during a call at 6:30 a.m. on a Saturday. Graham found a wonderful therapist who specializes in PTSD. We think your time in Afghanistan might be affecting your judgment. My judgment is fine. Mom, is it because a healthy person doesn't try to destroy their own family over paperwork? You're having paranoid delusions. Darling, we've been telling the neighbors you're struggling with adjustment disorder. She'd already begun crafting the narrative. Poor Avery, damaged by war, turning on the parents who only wanted to help her. I could picture her at book club, dabbing at dry eyes while spinning tales of my instability. The neighbors, I said. The ones at Silver Elk Reserve. Our friends. Yes, they're very understanding about mental health issues. Margaret's son had similar problems after Iraq. And what exactly did you tell Margaret? The truth. That you're confused, possibly having flashbacks, making wild accusations about documents you probably signed and forgot. PTSD does that, creates false memories. I hit record on my phone. So, you're telling people I have PTSD? Well, don't you all that violence you witnessed? Those horrible injuries you saw, it would break anyone. We're not judging you, sweetheart. We just want you to get help. The only thing breaking me is having criminals for parents. My father grabbed the phone. Watch your tone, young lady. We're still your parents. You still owe us respect. Respect, like the respect you showed when you forged my signature. You're sick, Avery. Sick and ungrateful. After everything we've done, send me an itemized list of everything you've done, in writing, with receipts. He hung up. The next day, an email arrived with an actual invoice attached, professional letterhead, and everything they'd created a company called Dalton Family Investments LLC just for this purpose. Services rendered to Avery L. Dalton Child Rearing and Education, 1992-2010, $487,000 emotional support and guidance, $75,000 career consultation and networking, $15,000 investment opportunity provision, Silver Elk Property, $53,000 current housing management services, $2,000 month total, due $630,000 payment terms, immediate. At the bottom, in my mother's handwriting, this is what family does for each other. Stop this nonsense or we'll be forced to take legal action for what you owe us. I forwarded it to Evan with one word. Seriously? His response came quickly. This is perfect. They just documented their extortion attempt. Print 3 copies. The threats escalated. My mother called my employer, Northline AeroCare, expressing concern about my mental state. Fortunately, my supervisor, Janet Rodriguez, knew me well enough to see through it. Your mom's something else, Janet said, pulling me aside after my shift. Suggested we might want to do a fitness for duty evaluation. Said you were having paranoid episodes. What did you tell her? That our pilots undergo regular psych evaluations, and you'd passed your most recent one with flying colors. Then I told her that filing false reports about aircrew mental health was a federal offense. She grinned. She hung up pretty quick after that. But they didn't stop. They called my apartment complex, warning them I might be unstable. They reached out to mutual acquaintances, painting themselves as victims of a daughter gone mad. They even contacted my ex-boyfriend from college, a relationship that had ended 8 years ago, asking if he'd noticed troubling behavior during our time together. Each contact was documented, each lie recorded. The blue folder grew thicker. Then came the midnight visit. I woke to pounding on my door at 12:45 a.m. Through the peephole, I saw my parents standing in my hallway. My mother wore her pearls even at this hour. My father, his Princeton blazer over pajama pants. I opened the door but left the chain on. It's almost 1 a.m. We're staging an intervention, my mother announced loudly, clearly hoping to wake my neighbors. You need help, Avery. I need you to leave. We're not leaving until you sign this. She waved a document through the gap. It's a treatment agreement, 3 months at a facility in Arizona. We've already paid the deposit. I looked at the paper. Sunset Serenity Wellness Retreat. A quick Google search on my phone revealed it was a luxury rehab center that also treated delusional disorders and family trauma dysfunction. I'm not going to rehab, Mother. It's not rehab, it's wellness treatment. For your PTSD and paranoia. The only thing I'm paranoid about is identity theft. Oh wait, that actually happened. My father stepped forward, his face red. Sign it. Avery, sign it or we'll have you committed. We have documentation of your erratic behavior, your delusions about this house situation, your hostility toward your family. Any judge would see you need help. Try it, I said. Please. I would love to present my evidence to a judge. What evidence? My mother scoffed. Your little conspiracy theories, sweetheart. We have established standing in the community. Graham is on the Chamber of Commerce. I'm organizing the Literacy Foundation Gala. Who do you think people will believe? I held up my phone, showing them it was recording. The evidence that you just admitted to planning to file a false psychiatric hold, the evidence that you're attempting to coerce me into signing myself into a treatment facility, that evidence... My mother's face went pale beneath her foundation. You can't record us without permission. Washington State, one-party consent, I can record any conversation I'm part of. They left, but not before my father shoved the treatment facility brochure under my door with a sticky note. Last chance to handle this as a family. I added the brochure to the blue folder, along with the security footage from my building's hallway camera showing them pounding on my door after midnight. I also filed a police report for harassment, creating an official paper trail. 3 days before the gala, my mother sent one final text. We know what you're planning. If you show up Saturday, you're no longer our daughter. I responded with a screenshot of my flight log from the day they'd forged my signature, overlaid with the timestamp from the fraudulent e-signature. She blocked my number. Good. It would make Saturday that much sweeter. The system began cracking on Tuesday, 4 days before the gala. Maya called me at 7:15, breathless. Harborstone just issued a notice of occupancy review. Your parents have 15 days to prove you're living in that house. How did they react? Your mother called the branch manager 17 times in 2 hours. She's currently in the lobby demanding to speak to the CEO. Meanwhile, Redcrest Title Company had received the formal inquiry about the mobile notary service. Rebecca Morse, the notary who'd verified my signature at my parents' party, was being investigated by the state licensing board. Evan sent me her panicked email response. There must be some mistake. The woman at the party assured me she had full authority to sign for her daughter. The woman at the party? Not me. Never me. The VA Entitlement Verification Unit had also begun their investigation. Their response was thorough and damning. According to their records, I had personally certified that I occupied the Silver Elk Reserve property as my primary residence. They'd attached my flight logs from Northline AeroCare, which I'd submitted to them showing I'd been operating flights out of Seattle continuously, with GPS data proving I'd never spent a single night at the property. Fraudulent occupancy certification is a federal offense. The investigator's note read, "Please provide explanation for discrepancy." I replied with one line, "Identity theft by family members, full documentation available." Wednesday brought the HOA violation notices. Apparently, my parents had been renting out the pool area for private events cash only. No permits. The HOA president, a retired attorney named James Hoffman, was particularly interested in the occupancy affidavit after I forwarded him the public record. "If you don't live there," he'd written, "then according to our bylaws, they're operating an illegal short-term rental. That's grounds for immediate revocation of all amenity privileges." My phone rang at 11:30 p.m. Wednesday night. Unknown number. But I recognized my father's breathing. "You've gone too far," he said without preamble. "The notary is suing us. She says we misrepresented the situation." "You mean you lied to her?" "She didn't ask for ID. She took our word." "My word, you mean. The word you stole." "The pool is locked. They've locked us out of our own pool. The gym, too. Security won't even let us use the community center." "It's not your pool, Dad. It's mine, apparently. And I've never given you permission to use my amenities." He made a sound like a wounded animal. "The bank is threatening to call the loan due. Do you understand what that means? They want $847,000 immediately." "I understand perfectly. It means you committed fraud using my name, and now there are consequences." "We could lose everything." "You mean I could lose everything. It's my name on the loan. Remember? Stop this, Avery. Stop it right now or..." Or what you'll disown me, commit me, sue me for the cost of raising me. You've already threatened all of that. We'll tell everyone about Baghdad. The air left my lungs. What? That incident you never talk about, with the soldier who didn't make it. We know you blame yourself. Imagine if everyone knew that you let him die because you... I hung up. My hands shook as I opened my laptop and found the after-action report from that day. Specialist Marcus Thompson, 22 years old, from Detroit. Catastrophic IED injuries. I'd kept him alive for 47 minutes in the air, my hands inside his chest cavity, manually compressing his heart. He'd died on the operating table, but the surgeons said I'd given him a chance. The only chance he'd had. My parents had taken my worst memory, my deepest wound, and turned it into ammunition. I added the call log to the blue folder. Then I pulled up the video from the medal ceremony where I'd received a Bronze Star for that exact mission. For extraordinary heroism. The citation read, "Let them try to weaponize that." Thursday. Rebecca Morse flipped. Evan forwarded me her sworn affidavit stating that Lorraine and Graham Dalton had presented her with a POA at their housewarming party, claiming their daughter was traveling overseas for military business and had given them full authority. She'd never met me, never verified my identity, never even asked for my ID. I was told it was a routine family transaction. Her statement read, "Mrs. Dalton was very persuasive, and Mr. Dalton assured me their daughter had specifically requested they handle this matter." The county recorder's office moved faster than expected. By Friday morning, they'd issued a preliminary finding the occupancy affidavit appeared to be fraudulent. They recommended immediate review by the district attorney for potential criminal charges. My mother tried calling from different numbers all day Friday. I didn't answer, but she left voicemails. They evolved from pleading to threatening to unhinged. "You're destroying us over nothing. Please, sweetheart, we're your parents. You vindictive little bitch, after everything we've sacrificed. The gala is tomorrow. If you show up, I'll tell everyone about your drinking problem. I hadn't had a drink in 2 years. We know people, Avery, important people. We can make your life very difficult." The final voicemail came at 11:58 p.m. Friday night. My father, drunk, his Princeton blazer probably stained with whiskey. "You win. Okay, you win. Just stop, please. We'll figure something out. We'll refinance. We'll put it in our names. Just stop this before tomorrow." I listened to it twice. Then I saved it to 3 different cloud services and added it to the blue folder. Tomorrow. The gala. When all their lies would collapse in front of everyone they'd tried so hard to impress. I looked at my dress hanging on the closet door. Simple, black, appropriate for a community safety presentation. I'd even made slides, professional and clean, each one a nail in the coffin of their deception. The house of cards was falling. All that remained was to ensure everyone saw it collapse. The Silver Elk Reserve Ballroom glowed with golden light at 7 p.m. sharp. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow fragments across the walls, and jazz standards drifted from a 3-piece ensemble in the corner. My mother had outdone herself with the decorations, or rather, she'd outdone herself with my VA loan money. I stood at the entrance wearing my simple black dress and a speaker badge reading Avery Dalton, Financial Security in Post-Pandemic America. The HOA president, James Hoffman, had been more than happy to add me to the program when I'd explained my expertise in identity protection for veterans. My parents hadn't seen me yet. Lorraine held court near the chocolate fountain, her pearls catching the light as she laughed at someone's joke. She wore a sequined emerald dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Graham stood by the bar in his white dinner jacket, not the Princeton blazer tonight, but something even more pretentious. They were performing their roles perfectly successful couple in their dream home, hosting their community. Maya entered first, professional in a navy suit, carrying a folder marked with Harborstone Federal's logo. She nodded at me and took position by the registration table. The county recorder's representative arrived next, followed by two officials from the VA Regional Loan Center. Rebecca Morse, the notary, slipped in looking terrified, clutching a subpoena that required her appearance at this exact location at 7:30 p.m. At 7:20 p.m., a Pine Ridge Sheriff's deputy entered, not in tactical gear, but in formal uniform, carrying an envelope that I knew contained a writ of possession for evidence preservation in an ongoing fraud investigation. My mother spotted me first. The champagne flute in her hand trembled, sending golden bubbles cascading over her manicured fingers. She whispered urgently to my father, who turned so fast he knocked into a waiter. They tried to reach me, but James Hoffman was already at the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, before dinner, we have a brief presentation on protecting your family's financial security. Please welcome our speakers. I walked to the front, my heels clicking on the marble floor. The laptop was already connected to the projection system. My parents stood frozen in the middle of the room, surrounded by their new society friends, unable to leave without causing a scene. "Good evening," I said into the microphone. "I'm Avery Dalton, and I'm here to share a personal story about identity theft." The first slide appeared a photo of the escrow statement with my name and the Silver Elk Reserve address. 3 months ago, while I was flying emergency medical helicopters for Northline AeroCare, someone used my VA loan benefits to purchase a home in this neighborhood. The second slide side-by-side signatures mine from my military records, the forgery from the POA. This is my actual signature. This is what someone submitted to steal my identity. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My mother's face had gone pale beneath her foundation. The perpetrators were clever, I continued. They filed a power of attorney claiming I'd authorized them to act on my behalf. They even had it notarized. Rebecca Morse made a small sound from the back of the room. Third slide, the timestamp data. Here's where it gets interesting. The e-signatures were generated from this IP address. I highlighted it, which traces to 4827 Silver Elk Drive. At the exact time I was here, flight path map, 15,000 feet over Mount Rainier, transporting a critical patient. "This is ridiculous," my mother shouted. "You're having an episode. Someone help her. She's sick." I clicked to the next slide, a screenshot of her Facebook post from the housewarming party. There she was, toasting with champagne, the notary visible in the background, timestamp clearly displayed. This photo was taken at the exact moment the notary claims to have verified my identity. As you can see, I'm not in it, because I was working, saving lives, while someone stole my benefits. Maya stepped forward. "Shar Harborstone Federal has opened a formal fraud investigation. The loan on 4827 Silver Elk Drive has been called due for occupancy violation and identity theft," the VA representative added. "Fraudulent use of veteran benefits is a federal crime. We take this very seriously." "You planned this," Graham roared, pushing through the crowd. "You vindictive little sir." The deputy stepped forward. "I'm going to need you to step back." I played the audio recording. My mother's voice filled the ballroom. "You're going to live there on paper, just until we establish residency. It's a formality." Then my father, "We're using the benefit temporarily." The room was silent except for the jazz trio, who'd stopped mid-song. "But here's the truly shocking part," I said, clicking to the final slide. It showed the invoice they'd sent me, demanding $630,000 for raising me, including a line item for current housing management services. After stealing my identity and my veteran benefits, they tried to bill me for it. James Hoffman stood up. "Mr. and Mrs. Dalton, is this true?" "She's lying." Lorraine's voice cracked. "She's sick, PTSD. She doesn't know what she's saying." "I provided all documentation to the authorities," I said calmly. "Every signature, every timestamp, every recording is authenticated." The deputy approached my parents. "Graham and Lorraine Dalton, this is a writ of possession. This property is now under investigation for fraud. You'll need to surrender all keys and access cards immediately." "You can't do this," my mother screamed. "This is our home." "Actually," James Hoffman said, his voice cold, According to the occupancy affidavit you filed, it's your daughter's home, and since she clearly doesn't live here, you're in violation of HOA bylaws regarding owner occupancy. Security. Please revoke their access cards. 2 security guards approached. One held out his hand for their key fobs. Furthermore, Hoffman continued, the board will be meeting Monday to discuss your multiple violations, including operating illegal rentals and misrepresenting ownership status. I suggest you arrange alternative accommodation. The room erupted. Society women stepped away from my mother as if fraud was contagious. Business associates turned their backs on my father. The chocolate fountain continued its cascade, but no one was eating anymore. My mother made one last desperate play, rushing toward me with her hands outstretched. Avery, please, we're family. I stepped aside, let her stumble past me in her sequined dress and pearls. Family, I said into the microphone, my voice carrying across the silent ballroom. Doesn't steal from veterans. Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't try to have you committed when you catch them committing federal crimes. The deputy was reading something to my father about evidence preservation and temporary restriction of access. The VA officials were taking photos. Rebecca Morse was crying, providing her statement to anyone who would listen about how she'd been deceived. I packed up my laptop, handed my speaker badge to James Hoffman, and walked toward the exit. As I passed the registration table, Maya handed me an envelope. Inside was a single document, VA entitlement status under review for restoration. Behind me, I heard the mechanical beep of the door locks being reprogrammed, locking out the people who'd stolen my future to build their mansion of lies. The jazz trio, after a moment of uncertainty, began playing again. Something appropriate, I thought. The party's over. It certainly was. 48 hours after the gala, the sheriff's department returned to 4827 Silver Elk Drive at 9 a.m. sharp. I stood across the street, holding the official documentation that would finally free me from my parents' fraud. The deputy, a different one this time, knocked on the door with formal authority. Through the grand windows, I could see my mother's silhouette, still in what looked like the same sequined dress from Saturday night, now wrinkled and desperate. Mrs. Dalton, we have a court order for vacating the premises pending investigation. You have 1 hour to collect essential belongings. This is illegal, she shrieked, but her voice had lost its power. The pearls were gone. The carefully constructed image of success had shattered like the champagne flute she'd dropped at the gala. Graham appeared behind her, unshaven, his white dinner jacket replaced with a rumpled t-shirt I recognized from 20 years ago. He tried to push past the deputy. You can't do this. We have rights. Sir, step back. This property is under investigation for federal loan fraud. The court has issued a temporary restraining order preventing access to potential evidence. Rebecca Morse, the notary, had signed her affidavit the morning after the gala. In it, she detailed how my parents had assured her I was traveling abroad on military deployment and had given them full authority. She admitted to never requesting identification, never video calling me, never following proper protocol. Her notary license had been suspended immediately. Redcrest Title's insurance company was already processing the claim, eager to minimize their liability. I watched as HOA security arrived with new locks. The infinity pool my mother had posted about every day was being covered with a tarp. The gym access point was being sealed. Even the smart home system was being reset to factory defaults, erasing all their custom settings and access codes. Avery. My mother spotted me across the street and ran toward me, barefoot on the manicured lawn. Please tell them this is a mistake. Tell them we're family. The deputy intercepted her. Ma'am, please return to the house. You have 45 minutes remaining. She collapsed on the grass, a heap of sequins and smeared mascara. We gave you everything. Everything. No, I said, loud enough for her to hear. You took everything, and you got caught. A moving truck arrived, but not for them. It was from a secured storage facility, contracted by the court to preserve potential evidence. Furniture would be cataloged, documents seized, electronics imaged for data. Graham tried one last power play, pulling out his phone to call someone he claimed was connected to the governor's office. The person hung up on him mid-sentence. His Princeton network, it seemed, had dissolved the moment the word fraud attached itself to his name. At 10 a.m., the deputy announced. Time's up. My parents emerged with 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. The same matched luggage they'd bought with my forged credit cards years ago, now carrying them away from my forged mortgage. "Where are we supposed to go?" Lorraine asked the deputy, as if he cared. "That's not my concern, ma'am, but you cannot remain here." They walked to their car, or tried to. The white BMW, it turned out, had been registered to the Silver Elk address. With the property under investigation, it was being impounded for asset verification. "That's our car!" Graham shouted. The deputy checked his paperwork. "According to the registration, it's titled to the primary resident of this address. That would be Avery L. Dalton." They both turned to stare at me. I held up the document Maya had given me. VA entitlement. Status released pending final investigation. "You're enjoying this," my mother hissed. "No," I said. "I'm documenting this." I took a photo of the sign being posted on the front door. Property under investigation. Pine Ridge County Sheriff's Department. No trespassing by order of the court. James Hoffman arrived with 3 other HOA board members. He handed my father a formal notice. "The emergency board meeting this morning was unanimous. You're banned from all HOA common areas pending resolution of multiple violations including fraud, illegal rentals, and misrepresentation to the association." "But we live here," Graham protested. "No," Hoffman said coldly. "According to every document filed, your daughter lives here, and she's just confirmed she never has. Security has been instructed to escort you out if you attempt to enter the community." A taxi finally arrived, a shabby yellow cab that looked grotesquely out of place in Silver Elk Reserve. As my parents loaded their suitcases, neighbors emerged from their mansions to watch, not to help. Just to witness the spectacular fall of the couple who'd tried so hard to belong. Margaret, the woman my mother had told about my supposed PTSD, stood in her driveway shaking her head. The investment banker from next door was already on the phone with someone, probably spreading the news through whatever network my parents had desperately tried to join. "The storage unit for household items will be accessible once the investigation concludes," the deputy informed them. "You'll be notified by mail. What address should we use?" My parents looked at each other. They had nowhere to go. The extended family they'd alienated with their pretentious attitude wouldn't take them. The friends they'd bought with parties funded by my stolen benefits had already unfriended them on social media. "Use my lawyer's address," Graham muttered, though I knew they couldn't afford a lawyer now. As the taxi pulled away, my mother pressed her face to the back window, mascara streaming down her cheeks, staring at the mansion that had never been theirs. I walked to the front door one last time. The deputy had finished posting the legal notices. Yellow tape marked the entrance. The keypad that had once recognized Graham and Lorraine Dalton now displayed "Access Denied." Maya texted me. "VA confirmed full entitlement restoration within 10 business days. Harborstone won't pursue you for the debt given the documented fraud. You're free." Free. My credit would need repair, but it would recover. My VA benefit would be restored. My parents, however, would face federal fraud charges, state identity theft charges, and a civil suit from Red Crest Titles Insurance Company. I took one last photo of 4827 Silver Elk Drive, not for evidence this time, but for closure. This house had never been mine, had never been theirs. It was just an empty monument to greed, sealed off with yellow tape and legal notices. As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, probably my parents from someone's borrowed phone. I deleted it unread and blocked the number. They'd made their choice when they forged my signature. Now they could live with the consequences somewhere else, with someone else's help, with someone else's money, but not with mine. Never again with mine. I stood at the white painted line marking the entrance to Silver Elk Reserve at 11 p.m. 3 days after my parents were escorted out. The security booth glowed softly in the darkness, the guard inside paying no attention to the woman standing just outside his jurisdiction. Above me, a Northline AeroCare helicopter swept across the night sky, its navigation lights blinking in familiar rhythm. Not my aircraft tonight. I'd taken a week off to handle the aftermath, but the sound was home, the real home. The whir of rotors, the purpose of saving lives, the honest work that earned honest money. My phone sat heavy in my pocket with 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. My parents. Borrowing phones, trying to reach me. Each attempt deleted, each number blocked. Their words had lost all power the moment they tried to weaponize my service, my worst memories, my sacrifice. I pulled out the blue folder one last time, though it wasn't blue anymore, but digital, backed up in 3 cloud services and with my attorney. From it, I removed 3 items I'd printed for this moment: the forged power of attorney with its amateur attempt at my signature, the photograph of my mother in her pearls at the notarization party where I supposedly appeared while flying a critical mission, and the signed occupancy demand that had ended their charade. The papers felt light in my hands, considering the weight they'd carried. I folded them together, creasing the edges sharp and final, then slipped them into an envelope I'd addressed to no one. A text buzzed through from Maya. Federal prosecutor confirmed they're taking the case. Your parents will be formally charged next week. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Another helicopter passed overhead, this one lower, probably heading to Harbor Medical with a trauma patient. I knew that flight path, had flown it hundreds of times. In an hour, some family would either receive the worst news of their lives or a miracle. Real drama, real consequences. Real life, not the manufactured prestige my parents had built on stolen benefits. I thought about the house behind me, empty now except for the ghosts of lies, the infinity pool reflecting nothing but stars, the grand entry where my mother had played hostess with my forged fortune. The documents inside that would become evidence, the photos that would become exhibits, the dream home that would become a crime scene in federal court. They'd wanted so badly to be something they weren't that they'd forgotten who they were. Or maybe they'd always been this takers, users, manipulators, and I'd just finally stopped enabling them. The security guard shifted in his booth, and I realized I'd been standing there for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, or everything, or the nothing that everything had become. I turned my back on Silver Elk Reserve for the last time. My car waited where I'd parked it, outside the gate, never having belonged inside. The duplex I'd bought with my own money, my own credit, my own signature, waited across town. Small, modest, real. As I drove away, I didn't look in the rearview mirror. There was no dramatic last glimpse, no moment of reconciliation or regret. My parents had made their choice when they sat at their kitchen table, or maybe at their lawyer's office, or at the party planners, and decided my future was worth less than their facade. The highway opened up before me, dark and clear. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Janet from Northline. Take all the time you need, but we've got your schedule ready when you're back. The team misses you. The team, my real family. The ones who trusted me with their lives and their aircraft, who'd never once asked me to be anything other than what I was: a pilot who'd served, who'd saved lives, who'd earned every benefit she'd never gotten to use. I pulled into my duplex at midnight exactly. It was nothing special. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a small yard that needed work. But the deed had my real signature on it. The mortgage was in my actual name. The keys in my hand opened a door to a life built on truth. Inside, I set the envelope with the 3 documents on my kitchen counter, then picked it up again. These papers had consumed months of my life, had destroyed my relationship with the 2 people who should have protected me above all others. I lit the gas burner on my stove and held the envelope over the flame. The papers caught, burned, turned to ash in my sink. The evidence was all digital now, safe with prosecutors and lawyers. I didn't need these reminders anymore. As the last of the ash washed down the drain, my phone lit up with one final message, not from my parents this time, but from the VA Entitlement Restoration Complete. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. 5 words my parents had never said. Not once. Not even when they were stealing the benefits that service had earned. I turned off the lights and went to bed in my small, honest duplex, owned with my own money, earned with my own work. Tomorrow I'd fly again, save lives again, be useful again. My parents were someone else's problem now. The courts would handle them, or they wouldn't. They'd find new marks, or they wouldn't. They'd reconcile with the family they'd alienated, or they wouldn't. But they wouldn't do any of it with my name, my benefits, or my future. The white line at Silver Elk Reserve would keep them out. The white line I'd drawn would keep them away. And that was enough. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm curious to know where you're hearing this. Are you driving to work, relaxing at home, or perhaps taking a walk? Please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear if you've had similar experiences with family taking advantage of your trust. Let's connect and share our stories together.